So where we ended up was the fact that, if we have this image that we want to be able to scale down, we really need to start from the larger image. So here's where you get into things. It's actually more effective, I have found, to do some of the graphics and titling inside Premiere than it is to use the Photoshop graphics. Although you can use Photoshop graphics and import them this way, it's not always the best way. Of course, you can deal with some really cool graphics in Photoshop, but it's not a bad idea to save them as PNGs or something like that and import them as individual files rather than a sequence like I have. What you can do is you can create, let's go to new, title, not sequence. You can create new titles, and you can tell those titles what size to make them, and you can give them a name, and I'll call this title text. And inside this title, you can actually do a little graphic design. Now, one thing about the title tool that you need to be aware of is that you don't have the ability to view these titles as individual layers or anything. So if you want to do layered files where you have this box is coming in and then that box is coming in and this text is coming in, they have to be individual titles, which can be kind of a pain. But there are some benefits to it because you've got a lot of the design tools right here in Premiere. So you can click and drag, making a box. I can then close that title, and that closing the title will save it. And I called it title text, so that's really title box. And then I can create a new title. And this will be the title text. And I can type in and I can change the font size and the font color and the font whatever I want in this tool. So you kind of have to go play with this stuff to figure out what's there. And of course, they've got some different presets here already that you can play with. Not a huge fan of any of these right now, but I'll use that. Travels to India. Now, instead of using the Photoshop graphics, I can actually use the titles that I created. And that can be kind of nice as well. You will still have one of the problems of, as you scale images up or scale up text that's done in the render in this tool, you'll still see that it gets soft and jaggy. So there's no great way of like zooming text in Premiere unless you do that in an outside application like After Effects. I mean, Premiere is not really made for it. So that's just something to be aware of. But working with the title tool and with Photoshop graphics together, you might be able to come up with the most effective way for you to create your titles. If you had to choose one or the other, I'd probably choose the Photoshop for graphic design elements. Just be aware that the background element, if you want to be able to scale that in Premiere, of course, cannot be from the Photoshop document. That has to be a separate file. So hopefully that helps in understanding how to create some graphics for it. You do want to be aware of using the preset, though, in Photoshop just to make sure it fits. And I think that's really about it of using the sequence. Oh, by the way, using this sequence, once you've got this sequence, then you would drag that sequence into your other sequence so that you have your title sequence brought in to your other sequence to be used as a footage item. That's usually the easiest.